Hi everyone, it is Jennifer with Building AAC, and I'm here today to show you how I took my energy slide deck or my lesson on energy and imported it into SeeSaw. And there's about 3 different parts, so I'm going to get started and show you how I did this. So this is my energy lesson for maybe my students in Google Classroom. It has interactive slides for multiple levels of learners where I can click things or the students can click things and put them in different categories. But this does not import into SeeSaw very well. So I'm going to show you how I took my entire lesson and broke it up and then created sort of mini lessons in SeeSaw. So the very first thing I did is because I didn't want to ruin my master here is I made a copy. So you're going to go to File, Make a Copy of the entire presentation. So that would be what I have here. The next thing I did is I created a table of contents. So here is actually something I took from a different presentation I did, and I just made a copy of that board and pasted it into this. And this is going to be a table of contents. It's not for the entire lesson because I'm breaking this lesson up. So the very first thing I'm going to do are some of these science activities. And I have some videos here. I have some songs linked in. I have some activities to demonstrate their knowledge in here. And the first thing I did is decided that I wanted to break this lesson into 2 parts. The first would be the lesson or the learning part, the representation. How am I representing that learning? And then the second part would be how I'm demonstrating that learning, or those would be my activities. So I created this table of contents. And in order to do that, you can make shapes, you can do whatever you want, create some sort of a button. Here's the shape tool. So I actually think a square probably would have worked better because it would have given me a little bit more content. You can fill that square however you want. So if I want to make this, let's make it bright pink, I guess, or purple. And then you can just add a text box on top of that, and you can type in whatever you want. And you have a table of contents or a button, a clickable button. I'm actually going to delete this because I already have one created for you. So what animals eat? And this is going to link to slide number 13. So here's slide number 13. I want them to read this book in Epic, and I want them to watch this video from Watch Crash Course Kids. And rather than having students or parents have to scroll down, find where I want them to go, I just want them to be able to click on these links and get right to it. So if I am in present mode here, just so you can see how that works, I can click on video 1, and it's going to take me right here to my video 1, which is on slide 6. I'm going to exit out of here. And get back to my table of contents here. And I want to link what animals eat to slide number 13. So in order to create a link, all you have to do is highlight it and go to your link button up here. And then what you maybe never noticed is right here where you normally would paste like your YouTube link or your link to whatever material in your slides, there's a little button for slides in this presentation. So if you click on that, you can scroll down. I know that I want slide 13, and I'm going to hit apply. Now, if I go back to present mode, and I click on what animals eat, give it a minute, it's still loading. What animals eat, it brings me right to my slide right here. So effectively, I can create a table of contents so that my students, my learners, my parents do not have to click through all the slides in the presentation. Now, I have, let's see here, 64 slides in my energy slide deck created already. I do not want my students to get confused and have access to too many of these. So what I can do is I can just select the slides that I want my student to have access to, and I'm going to create it into another slide deck. So I want slide 1, I want slide 3, and in order to select more than one slide, I'm going to hit the control key on my Windows computer. And now I can skip slides and just pick the ones that I want. So I want slide 4, I want slide 6. Let's reset this. Sorry, my mouse is not happy with me. I'm going to go back to using my touchpad. I think I'm better at that. So I want slide 1, slide 3, again, holding down the control key, slide 4. I want slide 6 and 7. These are my videos. Maybe slide 8. And then I want these videos here. Now that I have the slides I want selected, they're highlighted in yellow, I'm going to go to File, Make a Copy of just the selected slides. I'm going to name this SeeSaw Energy Lesson 1 Science. And then I can select OK. I'm not actually going to do that because I already did, and I have that SeeSaw lesson saved right here. So now I have just the slides that I want my student to have access to in this first lesson. And you can see it only goes up to slide 10. So the student doesn't have access to anything more. It's not too confusing. The next step after you've now created a copy of just the lesson 1 that you want, and again, I have lots of probably lessons within my master slide deck. I have some math lessons here that go along with my energy theme. I have some writing activities that go along with my energy theme. So I can create these all into separate lessons and just slowly give my students access to these lessons. So I'm taking my whole slide deck that has everything in Google Slides, and I'm creating small mini lessons, it maybe is what you would want to call them. So here is my science mini lesson. And the last thing that I need to do in order to get this ready for SeeSaw is go to File, Publish to the Web. I would also like to change this to every minute. That slide will advance automatically when the student clicks on it, and every 3 seconds doesn't give them very much time to process. You can change this to whatever you want. I'm going to select every minute because you can manually skip through the slides as well. And then what I'm going to do is click on this link right here. This is already published, so normally I would hit publish, and then it's going to give me this link here, and you can do a Control C to copy that. And now I'm going to go into my SeeSaw activity. And here's the lesson that I created. So hold that thought that we have the energy lesson copied, because I'm just going to show you what this looks like. So I created this science energy lesson, and what we're going to do is link in the slides. So I'm going to click on the lesson here on the slides, and it's going to bring up my energy lesson in SeeSaw. It's got it linked. When I select it, it opens it up in a new tab up here. And you can see that I can go through the slides. So here's my table of contents. When I click on what animals eat, it brings me right to that slide. I can watch the video. I could click on the EPIC story if my students know how to get into EPIC, and I could read the story. I can do lots of different things. I can go back here and get back to my table of contents. So this is going to require a little bit of teaching on the part of your students and maybe whoever is helping to support their learning. But they can learn to go through this table of contents to learn the material, to learn more about what you're instructing them on. So this would be for maybe some more asynchronous learning material. Here is me reading a story. I read it two different ways. I read the book out loud for the student, and I read the exact wording of the text. In video 2, I have a summary of just the key points. I can play that video. Hi, in the frozen tundra of North America, the Arctic hare likes it where it's active. Active means that, so this might be where you already have your lessons linked into your Google Slides. Now you can make that available to your students in SeeSaw. So you understand, hopefully, how to do that. So I'm going to exit out of here and show you how to link that in. So I'm going to go to my library. I'm going to create a new activity. I'm going to label this Science Energy Lesson 2. And if I had instructions, I can add in the instructions in here. Click on the lesson and complete the activities in the table of contents. And then maybe next, complete the assignment. And I can add in my voice instructions. But now how I link in those slides is I want to add multimedia instructions or example. So the Google Slides that I just showed you, linked in the lesson that I already created, I added by selecting multimedia and then clicking on link. And then I'm going to do a Control V and paste that link in there. Select the green checkbox, and here's my energy lesson. I can just select the green. I can add anything to it if I want to add anything. I like the slide, the first slide. I think it describes what we're going to do. So I don't need to add anything, so I can just select the check mark. Now that lesson is attached. Now what I need to do would be the next step in the process, which is very similar to what we did to create the lesson material. Now I want to create the template for student responses. I want to create that so that I have some interactive slides for students to demonstrate what they've learned. So I'm going to go back to my slides. Here's my lesson. I'm going to go back to my copy of my original, And now I'm going to select the activities that I want the student to use for demonstrating their learning. So the first thing I want to do is select this experiment. Then I want them to do these sorts. Sorry, I was using my mouse again. I'm going to go back to my touchpad. Here's a sort. Oops. You know, what I'm not doing is hitting my control key. So selecting, hit my control key. So I'm not selecting all the slides, just the ones that I want. And I want this slide and this slide. And now I'm going to go back up to File, make a copy of the selected slides. The selected slides, I'm going to now name SeeSaw Energy Lesson 1 Activities. And I can select OK. I already did that. So here are my SeeSaw Energy Lesson activities. Now you'll see over in this version that I already had movable content in here. So when I went into my energy lesson, I had to delete those pictures because this activity is going to become an immovable activity when I put it into SeeSaw. So if these images were here, I would not be able to move them in SeeSaw. This is going to be locked in place. So I need to create this activity and take out all of the learning supports or interactive activity pieces because I need to recreate those pieces. I only want this background image imported into SeeSaw. So I deleted all of those pictures. You can see if I go back here to my diagram, I also had movable objects in here. So you could click on the words and drag them over. You could click on the pictures and move them over. So it was interactive. And I'm going to recreate that, but I can use this base template. So anything that's on my slide, I can use that to help me create my SeeSaw activity. So I went through and deleted all of those extra images, and now I'm left with just my blank slides here. So what I'm going to do then is go File, Download as a PDF. You can download it as a PDF or you can download it as a JPEG, but the PDF allows you to import it into SeeSaw in multiple pages, and that just helps you create the lesson a little bit faster. So I, again, already did that. And go back into SeeSaw, and I'm going to add template for student responses. And I'm going to go to Upload, select from Computer, and I am going to find my PDF, SeeSaw Energy Lesson 1 Activities. Open that. And now it's taken my PDF. It'll take a PDF up to 20 pages, so you have a limit. And I now have my activities already in here. And these activities, oops, so erase that dot. These activities are locked already, so I cannot move this. I can unlock it and move it around the screen if I want, if I don't like the place that it's in, but it already imports everything as a locked background image on all of the pages. So now what I can do is I have my activity sort, and I just need to grab some images to put in here. So you can use the camera button and you can take a photo of things if you have things that you want to take a picture of, or you can upload. I have these images right here, but I want to show you how I got them. I really love Lesson Picks. It is a picture library that's mainly used for students that are nonverbal or need visual reinforcers. And so that's what I use it for, but it's great for SeeSaw activities, and it is only $36 a year, and you have access to thousands and thousands of images. So they have over 40,000 scalable images, and they allow you to download those and do whatever you want with them. So I'm going to show you really quick, sign in, and show you really quick how to find an image. So we're just going to search for an image of, let's say, a cow. I like this cow right here, so I'm going to select it. It allows me to pick what format I want it in. PNG files work very well in SeeSaw. And I don't really need a super high resolution image. So I can just select the 600 by 600 and hit export images. It's going to put it down here, or I can find it in my downloads tray. So now what I can do is come into SeeSaw, select upload, and I can select all of the pictures I want. So I actually already downloaded a whole bunch of these pictures. So I'm going to say I want, let's see, I want the hippopotamus, the dog, the lion, the tree, the flower, the sunlight, the carrot, the rain, the wind. Oops. And I'm just going to select open, and it's going to open all of those right here. Now I can just rescale them down, put them over here. Just takes a quick minute to go through all these pictures. Obviously, you are going to want to mix these pictures up a little bit so that you're not giving it away. And that would be how you would create a sort. Now I can go through each one of these. This one already has my directions. So you can use drawings, photographs. I could record some other directions as well in the instructions. This one, if I wanted to import some pictures, I'll show you again. I'm going to go to upload. I want to see the icons. And for this one, I want the running on the treadmill. Again, if I hold the control button down, I can select just the images I want. I think I want this flower. I want the sunlight. I want the cow. That was it. And if we look back on my original slide deck at the supports that I had, oops, too far. I had also words that students could drag over. So food has energy. So if I go back, I can create a text box. Oops, I was thinking. Food has energy. Period. Oops. And I can resize that if I want. And I could create a bank. So maybe I put the food here and then I drag over here. Food has energy, and I keep going around. So you can see how I can create a lot of different learning supports for all different types of learners. So that they can represent their knowledge in a variety of ways. So that would be how I would then create my activities. When I'm finished, I'm going to select the check. And you can see it attaches it there. I'm going to hit save when I'm happy with it. And it's going to save it to my library, and then I can assign it to my students. So I'm just going to go back to the full activity that I created. Here I have all of my directions for my students. You can see that they can click on my Google Slides with all my links in there, and then they can go in here and they can complete the activity. So if I go to assign, and assign it to my students. And here's my activity. Again, I can click on the lesson. If I click on it, it's going to open it up in a new tab. I can go through my table of contents, do all of my activities, go back into SeeSaw, and add response. I'm going to pick my sample student. Here I can do my experiment, take my picture. I can come over here and I can, I need to make sure that I use my hand tool. So again, you might need to do a little bit of pre-teaching students how to interact with movable objects on a slide, but I can sort my activity here to demonstrate my learning. On the next slide, I could use my microphone. And I can record and explain how animals are a part of the energy cycle and how plants are a part of the energy cycle and what energy is. Then I can select done. And here I've recorded it. I could maybe draw a picture. So maybe I want to draw a sun. Or maybe I take pictures. I search for pictures. And on this side, again, I can sort by getting my hand tool. See plants grow. They grow into food. And food has, oh, actually, I'm going to put this up here, maybe. Put my cow down here. Animals eat plants or other animals. I could also record again using my microphone and explain this energy cycle. And then when I'm completely finished, here, if I could do this on my own, maybe I would use the microphone, or maybe I would use the text tool. And I might say, plants need the sun to grow. So I might have some students that don't need this level of support. They may be able to complete this activity using their own words to explain the energy cycle. So this activity is really based on the principles of universal design for learning and allowing students to choose how they would like to demonstrate their learning through a variety of different ways or activities. And then when I'm completely done as the student, I would hit the check mark and submit it to my teacher. And that is how I would take my my energy slides that I spent hours and hours making, how I would import them and adapt them for SeeSaw so that I'm not recreating the wheel all the time, and I can use a lot of what I have and just create a few simple ways to interact. The other thing that I did want to point out that I didn't mention is if I go back into SeeSaw, and let's add another response to this lesson. Not everything has to be clickable and draggable either. So if you just want to create and save your original energy lesson, so let's say I want to save this with all of the images on the slide. So you would need to drag all these images onto the slide. But if I wanted to do this and have all the images here, what I could do then within my energy lesson, let me get back into SeeSaw so I can show you into SeeSaw. What I could do is just with a pencil, or a marker, I could draw where these things go. So this would go to plants, this would go here to the sun, this would go here, this would go to animals. So you can see I could do it that way without having to then create and import all of these images into the file to make them movable. So just another way that you could make it more into a worksheet. But if you have students that maybe don't really understand that, which I think that there are a lot of students like that, I think it's not that much extra work to just create images that you can import and move around in SeeSaw. I hope this helps you create activities and use your Google Slides.